welcome back to another fun-filled adventure of DwreckTV. I'm Dwreck. And today's video is going to be yet another ranking video. Because, why not? Everybody loves ranking videos. Everybody loves the top tiers of everything and everything around under the sun. So, why not, shall we? Because I got nothing else to do. I mean, what else can I do? I mean, yeah. But in all seriousness, today's ranking video is going to be on something that a lot of people might like to talk about. Some people might not. Very controversial, whatever. But it's top favorites. Not really favorites, but like, Mittens, what are you doing? What are you doing? Making a cameo? Sure. My top rankings of pro wrestlers. That's right, pro wrestlers. The big old human monster trucks that they are, whether it be from the 1980s, the 1990s, 2000s, and even today. A lot of people got their opinions on them, so I don't give a frick about other people's opinions. This is mine. This is my ranking, so this is exactly what I'm going to be talking about. And man, what are you doing? I'm on the air. Gotcha. Come here. Come here. Come here. We'll be right back after these messages. DwreckTV will return after these messages.
You been eating the delicious sandwiches from Jimmy's John's?
They got summer wraps. They're new. This one's chicken Caesar. Got croutons too, boss.
Freaking Jimmy's John's!
New summer wraps for a limited time only.
I usually don't ski the Northeast. The mountains are so tiny. Of course, I really haven't had much time for skiing lately. What with making partner down on Wall Street and constantly jetting off to Milan to be with my supermodel girlfriend. You ever ski Chamonix? Shed? Vitamin Ski Shed. Is that in the Italian Alps? I love the Italian.
Looking for an even more satisfying crunch? Grab a Snickers Cruncher. Peanuts, caramel, chocolate, and crunchies.
You know, I was in the ski patrol. You could ask.
Snickers Cruncher. Beyond crunchy.
And now back to DwreckTV. All right, we're back. Welcome back. Now, that being said, in this box, I have a list of names of pro wrestlers. At first I wanted to do like ones that would be from like different eras, different companies and everything. But I just thought, you know what? I'm gonna do just like I came up with like 101 names of pro wrestlers from each company, from each decade or whatever era you want to talk about. I'm just gonna talk about like top 101 names that came off the top of my head and put them in the box, and we're gonna rank them based on, not really based on like what people would like perceive. I'm just going by what I saw. All right, if that makes any sense, because everybody likes to talk about this guy gave so much great ratings. This guy made so much great money. This guy forget all that crap. I'm going by excitement. An excitement that when a wrestler was on the screen, they captivated your attention, and you watched them, you cheered for them, and it's like, yeah, that guy's awesome. That guy's awesome. So, that being said, let's start with the first name out of the box, shall we? Now, there might be some names that many people may not know who it is, but I'll give some short descriptions of them. Oh, crap. Hang on. Talk about spilling the beans. Now, that being said, first name is going to be coming up. That's going to be going on the board. First name, the current World Wrestling Federation champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. My thoughts on Cody Rhodes, I remember seeing him when he first started. I remember seeing him when he was at that group Legacy with Randy Orton and Ted DiBiase Jr. Then when he was dashing Cody Rhodes and the undashing. I actually liked him when he was undashing, but after that, that was around the time I stopped watching WWE, and I went to New Japan, so I was watching a bunch of New Japan at that time. And then by 2016, when he joined the Bullet Club, and he started becoming with the Elite and everything, and then he started All Elite, I actually thought he was pretty cool. I liked him. I really did. He really proved me wrong from the last time I saw him. Whenever he was before the Elite. So where would I rank the current World Wrestling Federation champion? I'd put him, it's going to be like last time. Like the A ranks, B ranks, C ranks. D ranks are going to be like not really too much and just trash. We're not going to talk too much trash, but definitely S rank is for the Mount Rushmore, only top 4. Cody Rhodes, from being at the very bottom to the top, I put him at an A. Like, I'm really surprised how far he's come. Especially being my age, you know. Let's see. Next up, we're going to talk about Mr. Anderson. This dude, I remember seeing him when he first started when he was Mr. Kennedy. I thought this dude was very entertaining, especially on the mic skills and everything. Then, like I said, around the time I stopped watching WWE, then when he went to TNA, when he was Mr. Anderson, I thought he was pretty cool. But he was one of them guys that you just wish he'd done more. You know what I'm saying? Kind of wish he did more. Like I wish he was still around. But I'm glad that he was actually TNA World Champion for a while. But then after that, I want to say around 16, 17, he kind of fell off. He was with the NWA, but then he fell off again. I would put Anderson at a B. He wasn't the best wrestler, but he was very entertaining when he was on. What is this cat doing? Next up, Men's is just playing with the papers back there. Speaking of papers, let's find out who's going to be the third we're going to be talking about. The dog-faced gremlin, Rick Steiner. Rick Steiner, I really liked him, especially when he was teaming with his brother, Scott Steiner. The Steiner brothers were definitely one of my top favorite tag teams because they remind me of my cousins, Max and Roy, when they were kids. But as far as Rick Steiner on his own, I really liked him. He wasn't one of like the best charismatic ones, but he was definitely like strong. He was tough. He was a wrestler's wrestler. He was a very scrappy wrestler. And then when him and Scott reunited in TNA, I thought that was really cool. I'll put Rick Steiner at he's a great wrestler. Not so much as a charismatic like everyone else would be like a Hulk Hogan or even like a Ric Flair or anything, but Rick Steiner was definitely solid. I'd put him at a B. He could have been like a world champion or something, at like a TNA or something, but that's beside the point. Next up, Rick Steiner is one of them guys that's best as a United States champion. Not so much a world champion, but anyway, next up is the real rock and roll Prince Devitt. When I started watching New Japan in late 2012, going into 13, I seen Prince Devitt when he was teaming with Ryusuke Taguchi and Apollo, I think it was Apollo 55, I think. One of the things. Then when he became the real rock and roller in 2013, he joined Carl Anderson, Tama Tonga, and Bad Luck Fale, and they formed the Bullet Club. That dude shot from rank 28 to 4 to 3. That dude became a rock star when he started the Bullet Club. Like, holy crap. But then by 2014, he left and went to WWE, and now he's Finn Balor. So I didn't really watch too much of him. But definitely, Prince Devitt was definitely a B. He's definitely one of my favorites during my time watching New Japan when I was first watching it, because I seen how the Bullet Club started, and to tell you the truth, if it wasn't for Prince Devitt starting the Bullet Club, there would be no All Elite Wrestling. Think about that. Mittens, what are you doing? She's playing with the Mario box. Next up, Big Sexy Kevin Nash. Old Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Definitely one of my favorite big men. He was part of the Clique. He started the New World Order. He started the Wolf Pack. He was Big Daddy Cool. He was WWF champion. He was WCW World Champion. he went to TNA and pretty much continued his career over there. And he also helped out with the X Division guys. But I really like Kevin Nash. Say what you want about the dude. I really liked him. He was definitely one of my favorite big men. I put him at an A. Wasn't the most athletic, but for a big man, he was definitely one of my favorites. Especially when he was with when he started the Wolfpack. Oh my goodness. But definitely his TNA matches were good. Oh boy. Right off the bat, the immortal Hulk Hogan. What kid did not like Hulk Hogan? He was absolutely incredible. He was great. The whole Hulkamania and everything, especially fighting guys like Andre the Giant and the Ultimate Warrior, WrestleMania 6. Even his matches in Japan. I didn't watch those when I was younger, of course not, but I did watch them, and he's actually pretty solid. He almost looks like he would have like a Greco-Roman style in a way. Then he became Hollywood Hogan, and that pretty much changed his career forever. But I'm glad he became Hulk Hogan again. Not so much. His TNA days weren't the best, but it was entertaining to see him. But definitely Hulk Hogan is definitely in the Mount Rushmore. Say what you will about him, you gotta love Hulk Hogan. You got to. Despite I can forgive him for all the stuff he's done. But yeah, I love Hulk Hogan. Gotta love him. Next up, oh, Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect. Kurt Hennig. Definitely one of the most solid technical wrestlers. He was. I would see him. I could have saw him as a world champion, but I don't know. I don't know if I would have seen him as a world champion in the WWF or even WCW. He's definitely one of them guys that's like a solid Intercontinental and United States Heavyweight Champion, and even a tag champion when he was with Barry Windham with the West Texas Rednecks. It was so bad it was funny. It was so funny it was bad, but it was hilarious. I put Mr. Perfect at an 8. Very great wrestler. Loved his style. Loved his abilities. I loved his athleticism. Next up, we got to talk about Rey Mysterio Jr. Everybody loved Rey Mysterio Jr. In WCW, he was great. And then when he took his mask off, it was like, but my younger sisters, they freaking took they was taking my wrestling magazines and cutting them out with Rey Mysterio Jr. because my younger sister loved him when he took his mask off and everything. But definitely one of the best high flyers, best lucha libres. A guy that transcended, that pretty much took the smaller guys and brought them to a bigger stage, to a bigger platform. Like smaller guys can be a draw, smaller guys can be the headline, things like that. I put Rey Mysterio Jr. He wasn't really one of my top favorites, but he was always entertaining. I put him at an A because I know a lot of people is gonna be like, "Why you put Rey Mysterio Jr. at a B, man?" Hey, this is for y'all, okay? Next up, we're gonna talk about the villain, Marty Scurll. Marty Scurll was one of them guys that I remember seeing him around the Revolution Pro days. He competed in TNA around I want to say 2014, 15-ish. But when he started when he went to Ring of Honor and became part of the Elite, that catapulted his career. When he was with the Elite, whether he was in the opening matches, middle card, main events, or in multi-man tags, Marty Scurll was definitely one of those entertaining pure wrestlers. Like he definitely had that British style to him. He came out with the whole what's that called? The plague mask and he looked like the penguin. And I thought he was really cool. He was very solid. He could have been ROH World Champion. Why he didn't become World Champion in Ring of Honor when AEW started? It was a travesty. Talk about a big travesty. I put Marty Scurll definitely at at a high B rank. As far as charisma, no, not a B rank. I put him at an A. Marty Scurll was definitely a good one. But it's a travesty about what happened to his career after. It's a travesty. Next up. Who's going to be next? There's a lot, so we're going to be here for a while. We're going to be here a while. Hope not. old Stan the Lariat, Stan Hansen. Stan Hansen was definitely one of them. He was just a big, rough, tough Texan. My God. His matches in All Japan were freaking insane. Whether he was teaming with Bruiser Brody or fighting against guys like Misawa and Kobashi and even Dr. Death, Stan Hansen was definitely one of them rough and tough. My God. I put him at an 8. Stan Hansen was definitely one of them guys that's like, oh my God, you better run. Just a wild bull, a wild man, a wild Texan just swinging at everybody. Next up, we're going to talk about tough, cold-blooded Wes Warren from Pro Wrestling 225. He was definitely one of them guys that really caught my attention of like, this guy looks like he's going to hurt somebody. And his matches with Jordan Jaw and Braxton Hunter, former 2-time SEC champion and a Pro Wrestling 225. He's definitely one of them. He's definitely a tough guy to break. Whether he wins or loses, this guy, you got to practically kill him to pin him for the 1, 2, 3. I put Wes Warren. I would put Wes Warren in an A rank. Because he's definitely one of the top 5 in Pro Wrestling 225. And I can see him fight anybody. I can see him fight anybody today. Next up. Old Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner was definitely one of the guys that everybody loved. Especially when he became Big Papa Pump. And everybody freaking loved his just his freaking rage, his freaking big ass muscles, big ass biceps and triceps, like son of a bitch. And my uncle, my dad, my cousins, they all loved him because of just because of him. Just because the way he was. Because he was snap and his promo, his out of control promos, his big ass physique, his hair, the women that was around him, just call himself Big Papa Pump. Yeah, that's awesome. I put Scott Steiner at an A rank. I know he's above his brother, but I'll probably do a tag team later on down the line, like a tag team and stable ranking. I'll do that later on. Next up, let's see. Not so much in the C ranks. Let's see what we gotta have next. And we got a lot. We got a whole lot. We're going to talk about the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels is definitely one of my top favorites from TNA and even in Ring of Honor. Christopher Daniels is one of them guys that I remember seeing him. I remember hearing about him in like magazines and everything. Then when I saw him in TNA, he was definitely he's very fluid in the ring. I like his style. I really do. Especially when he teamed with Elix Skipper and Low-Key for Triple X. I liked them. I liked the Triple X. Then when he started doing his solo career in TNA, with his battles with AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, bro. Pretty much Christopher Daniels can fight anybody. Whether he wins or loses, Daniels is definitely one of the top guys that you would want to have on your roster. And then his career, pretty much like a jolt in his career when he formed SoCal Uncensored with Frank Kazarian and Scorpio Sky. Yeah, those 3 were fantastic. And it's a shame that they don't team no more. But I put Christopher Daniels, solid wrestler. I put him at an A. I put Christopher Daniels at an A rank. He's definitely that good. Next, there's going to be a lot of A ranks. Scott Hall. Oh, the bad guy, Razor Ramon. I really like Scott Hall. I really did. I like Scott Hall a lot. It's a shame that he's gone. But when he was Razor Ramon, he was just this tall, slick, very cool. He's not pissed off at anybody too much. Like, it's gonna take a lot to piss him off. Then when he started the NWO, he was even cooler. But kind of shame that his career took a turn for the worse. He was in TNA for a little bit, on and off. But he was definitely one of my favorites, especially within the clique. I put Scott Hall. He was definitely a game changer, if you think about it. When he left the WWF and went to WCW and helped form the New World Order, he was definitely a game changer in that regard. I put him at an A. You can't not like Scott Hall, despite his problems that he used to have. But it was great to see him like all sobered up in the 2010s. That was very good. Next is Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal from Ring of Honor. I remember seeing him when he was young, like a young kid, around 2005. Yeah, 2005. Went to TNA. Then he became Black Machismo. Then he started his that thing with Ric Flair. Probably one of the funniest moments in pro wrestling history was when he was with Ric Flair. Then he went back to Ring of Honor, became Ring of Honor, pretty much like a Grand Slam champion. He was Ring of Honor World Champion. He was Tag Champion and everything. And he was definitely around for with being the Elite. And he did go down with the ship with Ring of Honor. Then now he's in AEW, so I'm glad that he's still there. But where would I put Jay Lethal? Not so much an A rank. I put him at a solid B. But that's not bad. That's not saying he's bad. He's very good. He's definitely one of them guys that he can be on the undercard, middle card, or main events, and he can go with everybody. But as far as like charisma goes, like when he was Black Machismo, he was funny, he's hilarious, but he's definitely a solid B. But that's not a bad thing. Next up, old American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. He's whining, dining with kings and queens, and he's slept the night and he's dying of pulping beans. He's a son of a plumber coming up from the dishes in Austin, Texas. Oh, the American Dream. He's one of the greatest, the most gracious man that you could ever step foot in the professional wrestling ring. A superstar, a legend, if you will. But Dusty Rhodes, I would definitely put him. If I have a vision to put the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, I definitely put him in the top of the top class. I'll put him in the top class of the Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling, if you will. Definitely gotta love Dusty Rhodes. Next up, we're gonna talk about old Diamond Dallas Page. Self high five. Good God. He was one of my favorites in WCW. When he was the People's Champ, he was doing a self high five and the Diamond Cutter. Bang! He'd catch you out of nowhere. Diamond Dallas Page. Definitely at an A rank. One of my top favorites in WCW. Besides Sting and Goldberg and everything, DDP was definitely one of my favorites. Next up, we're going to talk about Sabu. The suicidal, homicidal, genocidal, death-defying maniac known the world over as Sabu. Sabu did some things that just captivated. He's one of them guys that he just looked like a rabid dog. And when he was on the TV screen, he's one of them guys that just reached through the camera and captivated your attention. Like, you had to sit down and just watch this dude just do his work. Whether he was wrestling, where he's doing hardcore, we're doing all the flips, the Arabian face busters, jumping off the chairs on the rope, through the guys to the crowd. Sabu definitely caught your attention. I'd put him at an 8. Not so much as he was definitely a good wrestler. Good wrestler, but he was definitely one of the guys that he had that charisma about him. Whether he was just pointing up to the sky, whether he was doing his movements and everything, he just captivated your attention. You just couldn't look away from Sabu. Next up, speaking of someone else, the Sandman. The Sandman freaking with his antics with the kendo stick and I would do it, but I'm not doing it in the game room. With the beer and everything, he freaking chugged that down. Throughout the whole song of Enter Sandman, before he even gets to the ring. And when he was wrestling in the ring, he wasn't that good of a wrestler, but his charisma and control over the crowd was just captivating. The Sandman was definitely one of them guys that you want to have on your roster. I put him at an 8. There's going to be a lot of A's. So, y'all better strap in tight. Next up, we're going to talk about is the Russian Destruction, Vladimir Koloff. Oh my God, this dude is a wrecking ball. He's a bulldozer with a wrecking ball attached. This guy is a freaking animal, and he's hungry. He's a freaking Mike. He is what he is. He is the Russian Destruction. If there was any more ways to put more Koloff on this thing, I'd put him at a solid 8. Everybody's going to need more Koloff because that dude is a freaking path of destruction, a conductor of anarchy, if you will. That's my thoughts on Vladimir Koloff. Next up is, oh boy, Sid Vicious. It's a shame that he passed this year, but Sid Vicious was also one of my favorite big guys. He was very intimidating, and he looked like he was about to snap, but he was also very, very in control because he was the ruler of the world. But he was also gonna snap at any time, and he didn't care, and he didn't give a damn about anybody like Hulk Hogan or anybody else. But definitely, where would I put Sid Vicious? Definitely an 8. Definitely one of my favorite big men. Next up, we're going to talk about the Big Red Machine, Kane. When I first saw Kane, I thought, this guy looks very cool. Especially being the Undertaker's brother. He got burnt. And I always wanted to know what did he look like under his mask. I always wanted to know what does Kane look like. Whether he does look mangled up and everything. I just wanted to see his face. Then when his outfit started slowly showing more skin and everything, it's like, But I did read up that he was Dr. Isaac Yankem. So I was like, okay, so that's what he looks like. But I still kept that in my head, like, don't take his mask off because you want to keep the illusion of that his face was all burned up. Then when he took his mask off, then it's like, please put your mask back on. I don't want to see your face no more. Just put your mask back on. And Kane, yeah, just got. But as far as anything, Kane's definitely a great big guy. But as far as like his career direction and everything, definitely a C. When he first started, he was definitely an 8, but he just became a C. All right, I like what he's doing with his politics and everything, but that's neither here nor there. I'm talking about pro wrestling. But as far as like how Kane turned out, he's definitely a C. Had he not taken his mask off and everything, I put him at an A. Next up, Kenta. Kenta from Pro Wrestling Noah. Definitely one of my favorite Japanese stars, especially in his matches in Ring of Honor. My goodness, this dude was a freaking machine. Now he's with New Japan, part of the Bullet Club. I'm glad he's still doing good. But as far as like he's definitely, I would put him at a high B. Because as far as wrestling goes, he's definitely a solid A. But overall, he's definitely like a high B and everything. Like definitely like for like junior heavyweights, he's good. Next, we're gonna talk about the whole fucking show, Mr. Pay-Per-View, Rob Van Dam. This dude, he was definitely, when I was a teenager, Rob Van Dam was the shit. Just saying, like, he was the shit. Whether he was in ECW or he went to the WWF, Rob Van Dam was everywhere. Everybody loved Rob Van Dam. I put him at an A. RVD was the coolest guy. His wrestling style, his music, his singlets were definitely something to always look forward to with him. And the matches he's had over his career, whether it be in ECW or WWF or even TNA, that dude was the whole fucking show. Next up, we're going to talk about the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer. Oh my goodness. This dude is a path of destruction. But it's just sad where he's at in AEW. I really hoped that he was going to be like one of the top big men in AEW. But they just floundered him so much because I really liked him. I even met him at an Elite Championship Wrestling show. That dude's freaking huge. He's freaking huge, but he was very nice to me. I put when he was in I remember seeing him when he was Dallas in TNA with Kid Cash. Then he became Lance Hoyt. Then he started that what's it called? The Rock and Rave connection with Jimmy Rave. I remember seeing that. And then he left. He went to New Japan and he started with Davey Boy Smith Jr. as the Killer Elite Squad. But I really want to put him at an A. But where he's at right now, it's a solid B. I really hope that now he's with the Don Callis family. I really hope that he can get some more fire to him. Speaking of Jeff Hardy, the charismatic enigma. Everybody loved Jeff Hardy. I did too, especially when he was with the Hardy Boys. I love the Hardy Boys. That was one of my top favorite tag teams. I put Jeff's definitely at A. Very charismatic, very eye-catching, Jeff Hardy is. Next, we're going to talk about the Ultimate Warrior. This dude was a freak of nature. His promos were fantastic. You didn't know what he was talking about, but he was fantastic. When he would he would freaking bolt to the ring, come in, wreak havoc, get the dude up over his head, and then do the freaking splash. You couldn't ask for more for the Ultimate Warrior. He's definitely an A rank. Even when he was in WCW, I wish that he could have done a little more. Next is the game changer, Christian Blake. I really like this dude. When he started in Elite Championship Wrestling, I really liked him. He definitely came from the bottom to the top. Now that he's in Pro Wrestling 225 with the Overboys and everything, he became tag champion, and now he became the heavyweight champion in Pro Wrestling 225. He's definitely one of them great. He's definitely a great guy. He's a great guy behind the scenes and definitely in the ring. He's definitely a good one. I put him at an A. Definitely A rank for Christian Blake. God, man. Next, we're going to talk about the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers. I really like this dude. I really do. Especially because through his through the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, very entertaining dude. I like him in TNA as well. As far as I put him at a solid B. His wrestling style is great. I wouldn't mind seeing him as a world champion at least once, but Brian Myers is more like almost like that Mr. Perfect style, in a way. As far as guys like great to be the secondary champion, but not so much as the world champion. And if he did, it'd probably be like a short reign, but still, real great dude. Next up is another great dude, Ron the Truth Killings. He was one of my favorites when I was a teenager, especially when he was he started off as K Quick, then he went to TNA with the 3 Live Crew. I really liked it, Ron the Truth Killings. But then he went to WWE, and now he's just floundering. And it's a real shame. For that, he's a B rank. WWE definitely screwed him over. Next up, we're going to talk about Keiji Muto, the Great Muta. Whether he's himself as Keiji Muto or the Great Muta, Muto is definitely one of my favorite Japan wrestlers. When he was in New Japan, and then he went to All Japan, and then he started his own company, Wrestle One. I really liked Keiji Muto. He's definitely entertaining. I put him definitely A rank. Whether he was a Great Muta or as himself, Keiji Muto was definitely exciting to watch. Speaking of another exciting to watch that's very polarizing among everybody, and I actually met him, the Best Bout Machine, Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, my honest opinions about him, I really like him. I really like Kenny Omega. When he started, I remember seeing him, reading about him in websites and everything. And then when he started with the Bullet Club, he became the cleaner. And he went from the junior heavyweight division. Then he wanted to go to heavyweight division around 2016 when he started the Elite. It's like, is this guy really worthy of being it? Like, he's exciting, but it's like, is he worthy of that top spot? Then when he went through the G1 Climax and his match with Naito, that blew me the fuck away. And since then, Kenny Omega really solidified himself as being one of the best wrestlers in the world, despite what anybody says. Whether you're a traditionalist, whether you like high-flying styles, Kenny Omega is definitely one of them top guys in the world today. But he's been sidelined so much with injuries and like unfortunate injuries and everything and like illnesses. But he's definitely an A rank. Kenny Omega will definitely go down in history as one of the greatest, one of the best performers in this in the past 10 years. He's definitely one of the top guys from the 2010s. I don't care what anybody says. Kenny Omega was really that good. Speaking of good, Andre the Giant. I didn't really watch too much of Andre the Giant when I was a kid, but my grandpa really liked him. And he was definitely one of the best big guys in the business. He was very highly revered by everybody that loved him and everything. I would put Andre. You know what? I'm just gonna say, like, forget about the Mount Rushmore and everything. Like top 4 for the S rank, but I would definitely put Andre as far as like cultural wise and everything, what he meant to the sport and everything. Andre is definitely an S rank. He's definitely one of the top guys that started the whole trend with huge guys. But Andre the Giant was definitely a spectacle. Next up, K-Dog Conan. Orderly arriba la raza. Conan was definitely entertaining, especially when he was with the Wolfpack. Then he became then he started the Filthy Animals in WCW. Went to WWA in Australia, and then he went to TNA for the 3 Live Crew. I really like the 3 Live Crew. Then he started LAX. Conan was definitely entertaining, and he was a great wrestler too. I put him in an A rank. There's gonna be a lot of A ranks, people. So, like I said, next, how many we got now? Got a whole bunch in here. Oh boy. Nah, we can't waste no many time. Can't waste too much time. Raven. I really liked Raven. When I was a teenager, Raven was like one of my top favorites from WCW. I just liked his character, his the charisma behind him. It's like he's one of them guys that just like I said, like Sabu, just really captivated your attention on see what he was gonna do next. Then he went back to ECW. He went to WWF. Then I say his best days was in TNA. Definitely, especially when he finally won the NWA World Title. Raven was definitely one of my favorites. I put him at an A rank. Definitely one of them guys that you should, and especially his shoot interviews are really good. I really like Raven's his stories that he tells, and especially his in-ring philosophies and everything. I love it. Next up is the It Factor, Bobby Roode. I remember seeing Bobby Roode on like WWF Velocity and Heats during the early 2000s. Then he went to TNA, started with Team Canada. I really liked the Bobby Roode. Then he became like the It Factor, and then he started with the It Pays to Be Rude when he had Tracy Brooks with him. Then he became with James Storm as the Beer Money Inc. Bobby Roode was definitely good. But where would I put him? I put him at a B. I put him at a B rank, but that's not bad. Like I said, he's like one of those, he's definitely like a Mr. Perfect Arn Anderson style, where he's like the best middle guy. If he's the top guy, he's great, but he does his best as a middle guy.